Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on, June 2nd, 2025, at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I've made it my life's calling to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally use to guide virtually every decision I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, in the background, we have Storm, and he is our primary moderator who manages to keep all the tech running and keep this place safe from problem children. So definitely hats off to him. And LA Moon, you are in the house today. I hope you are feeling better. LA Moon is our primary on-site moderator, and she helps keep all the conversation moving, especially if it starts to stall. Okay. Now, the more important thing for me is that LA tends to keep an eye on my own personal health. Now, so far I'm not dead, so it seems to be working. Then we have Woo Rider. You are in with the gold. How are things going there, Woo? Glad you could join us. I've noticed a lot of time you end up getting in here a little on the late side, so this tells me you're very busy. And I do hope that's working out. Now, today we are going to be looking at the cautions and benefits regarding the Ouija board. Now, whoever it was that decided to take a Ouija board and turn it into a game is the same kind of person that would take dynamite and tell you, go out and play with it, you'll have a blast. Ouija boards, you don't have to believe in them any more than you have to believe in gravity. They will still create havoc in your life if you treat them if you treat them as a toy. Joe, how you doing? You are in with the silver. And yes, I did get your message. Like I said, unfortunately, we've been having trouble locking time with life issues getting in the way. Now, one of the biggest things we have to realize, and sorry guys, you're going to have to find your own Ouija board because I don't actually have one. Although I do have a template, I don't know if you can see it. Where did I put it? There it is. Now, of course, the problem is I can't get this one close enough to show you, I don't think. Okay, yeah, that's done in light. And you'll have to work with that. But what I did was instead of making it like most Ouija boards, when you buy them from the store, most Ouija boards are rectangular in shape. Now, I can see a problem with that right off the bat, but it doesn't change the reality that Ouija boards are a dangerous toy. They're a dangerous tool. Okay, absolutely, you've got to use them with caution. Now, again, you don't have to believe in them. Oh, perfect, LA. LA's going to pull a Ouija board up. Or it's going to see if Storm can pull one up for us. Now, the reality of Ouija boards is this. They work kind of like a telephone, with the added bonus of if you don't treat them properly, what you're going to find happen is whoever's on the other end of the phone is going to end up coming through and playing havoc with your life. Now, like I said, in this case, I usually say, don't take my word for it. In this case, please do. Okay, this is not one of those things where you really desire to take a look. Where you desire to sort of go, it won't happen to me. I'm just going to play with it and see what happens. This is a foolhardy idea. Okay, because Ouija boards are operated like on the living side. Now, let's go through a couple of very important factors. One, okay, don't use a Ouija board on your own, especially if you are not experienced. Okay, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Now, I recommend, even if you are an experienced Ouija user, I really strongly suggest you don't do it on your own. The primary reason is when you're the only one using it, you've got no safeguard and no safety check, if you will, to make sure you're not accidentally moving it. Okay. Second point, right off the bat, if you're going to use it, 2 hands on the planchard. Okay, the planchard is the little pointer. Okay, you put 2 hands on it. This completes the circuit and avoids that neat little problem of going, oh, there we are. Ellie says that Storm will bring up a picture in about 5 to 10 minutes. When you use a Ouija board, if you're only using one hand, this is kind of like holding the door to the apartment building open so that somebody can walk in, because you open a conduit without putting that second hand on. It's like you don't even have a safety chain on the door. So always, 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 every single person that is working on that board, and practicality wise, well, oh, there we go. Oh, heavens, yeah. Joe, absolutely. LA's answered that perfectly. A suspicious letter in your mailbox is just the same as a scam email. Okay? You really don't worry. You don't, I just don't bother with them. There are all kinds of, scams have been going on for years, and we're not getting into that tonight. The Ouija board itself, okay? Yeah. LA goes, if something sounds too good, it is. Here's the neat thing. You open a Ouija board with you only having one hand on the gate, and you're literally inviting anything, and for that matter, everything that has the inclination to come through into your home and affect your life. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. Okay, talk to other people, but for pity's sakes, okay, whatever you do, do not use it on your own. Okay, again, it creates too many open doors. Now, the second thing we look at, and because most of the Ouija boards are only a foot to a foot and a half wide by about 2 feet long, you're only getting a maximum functional of 4 people on that board. But every single one of those people has to put 2 hands on the planchard. Okay, it is a bit time or space restrictive, but definitely worth the safeguard. Okay, now I have used Ouija boards in the past. I haven't used one in a very long time for a lot of reasons. But the reality of it is this: it is not a tool to play with. Okay, because what happens is you open a gate to the other side. Now, people are telling you it's like a telephone. Sure, it's like a telephone. But the problem is it's like a telephone with a teleporter attached. Okay, now the good news, you yourself cannot be pulled to the other side of a Ouija board. Okay, That's not the way they're designed. But you can certainly invite complications into your life. So when you first sat down, okay, you put the board on the table on a flat surface. Do not make the mistake of trying to sit this in your lap. It won't work well. Now, we have Will is in with the gold, Joe is in with the silver, and Operation, you have just dropped in on bronze. Now, when you first put it down, you put it down on a flat surface, somewhere that's comfortable for everybody to reach. Be this a dining room table or coffee table, that's up to you. Okay, but again, and yes, I've repeated myself several times. Think about it. It's that important. Now, I will tell you, fearing the Ouija board is pointless. On its own, it won't do anything. It's kind of like fearing a gun or a blade. Okay? Left alone, they won't do a thing. But when you go to use it, a couple of things. You set the board down, put the planchard, which is the little pointer that it utilizes. Okay? Put the planchard in the middle of the board. Okay? Then everybody put your hands. Doesn't matter if it's it doesn't matter if it's one hand at a time. And here we are. That's the one I used to have. Okay. Now, thank you very much for that, Storm. That is a Ouija board. Okay. But something we absolutely have to say, have to emphasize. That one's missing an interesting setup. See, the board I had actually had hello and goodbye down at the bottom of the board. Okay, but when you put the planchard down, now everybody put both hands on the board, on the planchard. Doesn't matter if it's both hands at once. Okay, it can be one hand, it doesn't matter the order. Okay, but make sure everybody's hands are on the board solidly before you open the before you actually open the conversation. Now, that board, I will tell you right now, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for it, that board, I do not see the word hello on it. A board like that, I would never even touch with any intention on opening it. Because that board, spiritually speaking, the one you're seeing the picture of, spiritually speaking, you walk into a room and you're starting to talk without even introducing yourself, without even saying hello. This is a problem. Okay. You know, one of the things I look at is you look at that board. If they cannot say hello, you have no clue whether they're responding to you or not. And this is a disaster waiting to happen. There we go. Now, there's a board, and that's the one I had because it had both of them. That board there is safe. And thank you so much for that, Storm. Because that one says hello and goodbye. When you put your hands on the Ouija board, when everybody's got both hands on the board, okay, you say hello. Okay, now you'll feel the board move. You'll feel the planchard move. And if it does not go straight to hello, get your hands off the planchard. Okay, more to the point, if it does not go straight to hello, your hands are on the planchard, immediately say goodbye. Get off the planchard, off the board right then. Put it away for a while. Okay, because if they don't say hello, you're looking at a spirit that is not looking to communicate. They're looking to find a gate. And this is not something you want to deal with. As I said, these are not a play toy. Now you'll notice on that board, you'll notice in the top left side is a picture of the sun and a picture of the moon. This is bringing balance between light and darkness. Okay, kind of an important factor. But you get your hands on the board, okay, on the planchard, and the first thing you do is go, hello. When they say hello, okay, then you can introduce yourself and ask your question. Okay, if you're really striving to be very polite, ask if it's okay if you can ask them a question. Okay, this is a bit formal for most of them, but still safety first. And I'm telling you, these things are not a play toy. Okay, now you do your questions, what have you. Oh, there we are. People will tell you, oh, just walk away from the board. You don't have to say goodbye. Technically, they're right. But here's the kicker. If you don't say goodbye, the next time you open the OUIJA up, even if you say hello, they are going to approach you as though you are demanding, rude, and absolutely unsophisticated. Okay, opening all kinds of gateways for them to twist the answers that you're looking for. So we are dealing with something that there are protocols for. Okay, and like I said, this is not a toy. Now, when the board starts to move, it's imperative you concentrate on maintaining contact with the planchard. Okay, the reason you've got two of you on there, a minimum of two of you, is to ensure that one of you isn't pushing it one way or the other. Now, most people that are going onto a Ouija board, they have this brilliant idea. Not a problem there, Operation. That the reality of it is very necessary. Okay, but you'll feel the planchard move. Let it go where it will. Make note of the letters. Okay, because it has to spell out most things. Okay, most of the things have to come out spelled, because as you can see, we do not have a dictionary attached. And if you're not treating these guys, LA Point makes a good point here. Courtesy counts on the other side, on this side and the other. Absolutely it does. Okay, now, I had a conversation. I used the board once a while ago, and I could not get a straight answer. Okay, well, I asked the people on the other side. I said, may I ask you a direct question? Now, the guy had already identified himself as Mark. So I said, Mark, can I ask you a very direct question? May I ask you a very direct question? And Mark goes, yes, speak freely. I said, why is it you will give everybody over there, here a direct answer to your questions? And yet when I ask you a question, you guys all beat around the bush and won't give me a straight answer. What's the problem? And Mark come back with permission to speak freely. I said, yeah, by all means, speak freely. He comes back and he says, well, Keith, he says, we're afraid if we give you the wrong answer, you'll come over here and kill us. Now, people talk about there not being death after death. And the sad reality, or the good reality, is there really is. Okay, so let's explain that for just half a moment. You've heard of soulmates, twin flames, soul families, this sort of thing. Well, your purpose in this whole thing, in this whole existence, is to remember yourself. And that means find all your bits and pieces, all the component parts of your soul. Well, when you die, your physical body falls apart. Okay, it dies. But here's the kicker. From the other side, a soul can essentially die if it is disassembled part by part and scattered over time again. Okay. Now, with that in mind, okay, you got to realize, I should do this. Show you something a little trippy, embrace yourself. What I'm going to show you is plastic. Okay. This little ornament I'm about to show you had a working mandible. Okay. This, yes, I keep weird things. Like I said, this is plastic. Okay. But it had a working mandible. And when this was sitting on the table while I was talking to Mark. Okay. And I asked him that. And Mark gave me that answer. Little too, where are we here? Little too smooth. Mark answered the question for me. About a week later, I had somebody living in this already, another spirit. But they threatened my wife at the time. And I didn't even have the courtesy to go over to the other side. I told them right then and there, they're no longer at home. They're no longer welcome here. The mandible broke in 3 places while it was sitting on the counter. Okay, this is why Mark was worried. Now, not to worry, this thing is a replica. I don't go digging around in grave sites. But that's just one of those weird things I keep around. Of course, if I'm not careful, I'm going to pop my knee out of joint. That's always going to be fun. Problem with trying to hang on to a smooth skull. Now, yeah, LA is going, I had a mean spirit when I was a teen. I decided then I'd leave it alone. Good thought. Ouija boards are a great toy. They're a great tool. But you've got to know what you're doing. Okay? When you first start, ask questions you know the answer to. Okay? Now, there's 2 of you there. So to make sure you're getting honest answers, ask questions that at least one of you knows the answer to. Joe, it's not a bad thing not to have played with one. Now, why do you ask questions you know the answer? Doesn't that lead to the problem of maybe it's just picking up your brain and you're making it happen subconsciously? Technically, that's true. It is possible. But the odds of them sticking to that are pretty limited. But stick to safe answers. Couple of things you don't ask. When are you or anyone else going to die? What are the lottery numbers? Okay. When am I going to get my next promotion? When you start asking things like that, they don't control the future, they just see more of it. Operation. The short answer is, in my case, if I were that way inclined, I would. But then I know how to clear them, and we'll get to that before the end of the show. Okay. The reality of it is, if you don't know the history of the board, Ouija boards can be tricky. Now, this neat little thing, the one you can't see here, okay, I've designed this one myself, but I haven't put it to wood yet. Eventually I will. But when I build it, I will make absolutely certain it's cleared properly first. oh. LA goes, I wasn't playing then, but this thing had told us we should pick up a knife and do each other unalive. I wasn't going to mess with it further and burned it. Burning it was the best thing you could do. Okay. It really was. You know, when you're looking at disassembling a Ouija board, if you don't know what you're doing with it, okay, you burn it in a safe and controlled environment. Okay, do not make the mistake of burning it in a dangerous place, because you can bet your bottom dollar the spirits will turn around and try and control the fire. Okay, in my case, I'm a bird of a different color. Okay, I can clear a Ouija board even if I don't know its history in a matter of moments. Okay, it boils down to this. For those of you that work with energy, if you pick a board up, if you're going to clear it completely, pick the board up. This will work. Big enough to see and small enough to count. You pick the board up, okay, with one hand on either side. Now you'll notice I've got the finger pointed at the tip, okay. I do that on both sides. You grab that board and you build the energy in your hand, much like we've done before, where you put your hands palms towards each other and you run one single word, heal, through the entirety of the board. Okay, couple of things may happen. One, you'll feel the energy bubble and pop. Now, LA's referring to the one she burned. She goes, the thing popped and sizzled, screamed, turned into green smoke. This was a really dangerous spirit. That one was a potentially murderous spirit. I mean, it already revealed itself anyway. Okay. Now, with that in mind, if you're popping a green flame, number one, and some people go, oh, that was just a chemical in the board. Possible. Are you really willing to take that chance? Okay. Ouija boards are absolutely not a toy. Okay. There's a lot of tools out there that are very beneficial if you handle them properly. But a Ouija board, when you're using it, like I said, first and foremost, absolutely say hello before you ask a single question. Okay, and here's why. If you don't, you're walking into a room full of people and you're starting to demand answers. This isn't likely to go over well. Okay, one of the things that you have to look at with a Ouija board is once you open that door, if you do not say goodbye, you're leaving the door open. Again, actively inviting spirits, potentially angry ones, through the gateway. I don't think this is something you really desire to do. I know I've had to deal with cleanup from these things. I've had people come to me and go, I was playing with the Ouija board, now all this bad stuff is happening. What do I do? Okay, well, in my case, I'm an oddball. In your case, find somebody that knows what they're doing with a Ouija board to help close the gate. Okay, one of the quickest ways to closing the gate is literally you get on somebody that didn't leave the door open, get on the gate, and you'll get on the planchard and go, hello. Going hello opens that door. It's saying, I walked into the room. I'd like your attention for a moment, please. It's a polite way of starting a conversation. Once you've done that, you just simply tell the spirits, this gateway is now closed. You are no longer permitted to pass through it. Goodbye. Okay. Again, saying goodbye before you get your hands off the planchette, because you're closing the door and the goodbye locks it. Now, LA is just letting us know. She goes, yes, I put a vial of holy water over it. The smell of sulfur was incredible. I think it was demonic. In all likelihood, yeah. Okay. But here's the funny part. Okay. If it, the neat little part, yeah. LA goes, you know me, I don't make those claims lightly. No, but I will tell you, here's the neat little thing about the demonic side of the Ouija board. Okay, demons, spelt that way, are a construct. And 9 times out of 10, they are simply an evil-natured individual that passed away. These are not to be confused with daemon, which are a completely different species from another world. But yeah, demons, spelled D-E-M-O-N, is a construct made of belief. Okay, more often than not, a demon is simply an evil individual that passed and is looking you back over to this side to continue wreaking havoc. Okay, the one thing that I've got to point out, where it comes to a Ouija board, no one in existence should be playing with them as a toy. Okay, whoever decide to turn a Ouija board into a game, okay, there's a lot of things I could say about it, but it was one of the most foolhardy maneuvers they could have done. You know, they undoubtedly made it into a game. They said, oh, it's really fun to play. You should do this. Amaze your friends. Don't do it. Okay? It is not a toy. And it can ruin people's lives. And yeah, I know that sounds like I'm being overly dramatic. You know, but, you know, I mean, think about it. I'm talking, you are dramatic. This is where we do something like this. You know, you pop this in and you're talking to them and go, don't do it. You can ruin people's lives. This is a little bit more on the dramatic side. I like my odd toys. You know, but before any of you get really caught up in the odd side of it, I also keep these guys right next to the skull. Okay? These are just little angels. And again, they pull in the positive energy to balance things. Remember, all things are connected. Be nice if my hand would work. You know, all things are absolutely connected. When it comes to a Ouija board, understand, yes, you can certainly use it to give yourself a little boost. Like, for instance, am I going to pass this test? Now, understand, whenever you're looking at writing a test, ultimately, you're the one that's going to have to do the work. But here's the thing with the Ouija board. There you go. That's the quote. But that's okay. I had to modify it anyway. You know, LA is just saying where that quote come from, right? I know William Shakespeare wrote the play, but you know that was William Shakespeare's. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well. Okay, it goes on to some pretty graphic descriptions, but the important factor here is do not make the mistake of thinking that a Ouija board is a plaything. Okay, It just is not. Now, if you happen to get one, and when I talk about you don't know the history, you buy one of those from a game store, and there you go. See, I only studied Macbeth. If you choose to buy a Ouija board from a hobby shop or a game show, okay, understand you don't know the history of that board. So it is best before you use it the first time, you clear it. Now, this method works like a charm. Like I said, one hand on the front corner on each side. This will put your palms right in, if you look at it, it'll put your palms right in at the back end. In most cases, or close to it. Run the word heal through your mind, okay, as you let the energy flow. Blue, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, when we take a look at this, okay, that's one method. The other one you can use just as easily, takes a little longer. Take it and put it outside under direct moonlight, okay? And the reason for that, now, of course, if you've got holy water is only great if you're not using wood. Or more to the point, not using paper printed on wood. But if you put it under moonlight on a full moon, okay, one day either, and you leave it there, one day before the full moon to one day after, okay, this will clear the board, okay, but do be aware, you still have to tune into you afterwards, so it's going to take some time to get to use it. Now, there is no question there are some uses for it. You can check now, I'm going to say something here. As with Google, if you're looking into medical situations, okay, contact your doctor. Absolutely. You do not use a Ouija board, Google. You don't use the internet. Okay. There we go. LA goes, I generally like to use the moon cleanse and a sprinkle of salt. And by the way, a sprinkle of salt literally means table salt will work beautifully. Sea salt is better, but you sprinkle a little on each of the corners and a dash in the middle. Okay, in the middle of the board, and you leave it out there. The salt you can pour off it. Once you're done, brush the salt off. You're good to go. But again, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're asking, you invariably say hello before you say hello and wait for a response. Okay, before you ask a single question. And understand, once you've said hello, whatever gets said around the table, from anybody who has their hands on the planchette especially, that is an open statement. Okay, if you're sitting at the table and one person on the other side is sitting there and you notice that their hair's a mess, and you go, gee, your hair's a bit of a mess there, Bob. Okay, they will hear it on the other side, and they may respond to it. So it's imperative you stay focused on the questions you're looking for. Absolutely, check into things you're not feeling right about. But remember, the Ouija board is not a failsafe. It is not 100% honest. Don't get me wrong. For what it's worth, it is reasonably accurate. But it depends on who the spirit is you're talking to. Okay, and yes, I know I've repeated myself several times. The Ouija board is not a toy. Okay. But then there is not a metaphysical tool out there that is a toy. And a lot of them are portrayed as though they are. A lot of the metaphysical tools. Oh, get these cards and use them to amaze your friends. Not a great idea. Well, here's the thing. Okay. There's a lot of things there, and I'm not getting into which religion, but I will tell you this. There is not a single religion or spiritual path that I know of that does not have to deal with people that play with these. Okay, that has not had a run-in with them. And the board itself is not evil. Okay, the board itself is simply a tool. Kind of like a gun or a knife or a car are not evil, but the person behind the wheel could be. Clear cut hint for you. Ever see somebody driving through a shopping mall? This is not a good thing. Okay? Whenever you're looking at a Ouija board, whenever you're considering owning one, understand you must open it with hello, you must close it with goodbye. Okay? And keep it in a safe place. This is one of those toys you do not leave out where kids can get a hold of them. Because I hate to remind you of this, most of you were kids at one point. Many of you had some pretty funky ideas of what would be fun. Playing with a Ouija board does not qualify as fun. Now, the other thing we have to realize when you're dealing with these things, they are a tool designed to work with the people on the other side. Because the people on the other side have answers. One of the obvious things that a lot of people ask is Uncle Bob there? You know, like I'm looking to talk to Uncle Bob. And I know Uncle Bob just died, but I'd like to have a word with him if possible. People have used Ouija boards to find misplaced keys, to find forgotten passwords, find lost pieces of clothing, this sort of thing. Okay, the people on the other side, a lot of them are willing to help. In case you hadn't noticed, most of the people over there didn't exactly plan. Didn't exactly plan on ending up over there. So we have to realize that many of them are still good people. Pretty much the same ratio as what you'll find here. Or on any other planet for that matter. So you open it with hello, close it with goodbye, pack it up and put it in a safe place that is not open to people just coming in and grabbing. Okay? It's not just a question of whether or not a child plays with it. An adult, hate to tell you this, if you had a mother and a father, okay, as in a male and female component, okay, that you came from, you're a child, okay, and nobody that has not worked with, and you'll notice I said worked with a Ouija. Nobody that's worked with them plays with them. Okay, they are not a toy. Now, to be clear, I have used a Ouija board to simply talk to somebody that passed away. Okay, the time to talk to a friend of mine. Okay, I had a friend in grade 10 that I warned her, do not get into a car with a drunk. Okay, she did not pay attention. The two drunks she crawled into the car with lived. She didn't drink. She ended up dead. So I ended up contacting her about 6 months after she passed away to make sure she was okay. Okay, as it turned out, she was. She also had been beating herself black and blue for not paying attention to the warning. Do yourself a favor, and for that matter, me, do not make the mistake of disregarding this warning. It's not very often I will go, here is something you do not do. Okay, usually I tell you, go out, don't take my word, do your own research. With the Ouija board, do take my word for it. Playing with this thing is a deadly toy. Okay, it is a great way to draw negative energy into your life and to absolutely scramble your potential future. Okay, take my word for it in this case. Don't do that. We are down to the 15-minute mark. Thank you so much there, LA. Now, the people on the other side, when you call up on a Ouija board, you can get emotional support from them. Yeah, it's a weird place to get emotional support. But if you got friends over there, talk to them. You got friends here, you pick up a phone, Ouija board. Big, big, big phone. Okay? I mean, you think about it. A Ouija board is about 4 times that size. Okay? So, yeah, now picture that to a cell phone. Okay? Like I said, we are looking at a big telephone. But absolutely, I encourage you to take my word for it. Realize a Ouija board is not a toy. Okay? Now, there are things you can use for a Ouija board that aren't advisable, but once you've cleared a Ouija board, okay, you'll love this one because it just popped up in my head. But important, very important, clear the board first. Purify the thing. 3 days under the sun with a little bit of salt in each corner. Okay, not under the sun, under the moonlight. Okay, from the day before the full moon to all the way through the day after the new moon. Put a little salt in each corner, some in the middle, leave it in clear moonlight. Once you've got it cleared, it's a piece of wood with some pictures on it, okay, or some letters on it. At that point, and this is the part that just dawned on me, you can punch 4 holes into it, attach 2 straps, and you got snowshoes. Very inexpensive, not really good on deep snow, but what the heck, gonna be a lot of fun. Oh, glad you're feeling better there, Joe. I am doing my best to get things straightened up. I'll tell you, computers and I argue. Okay, now, the reality of it is this. With the Ouija board, use it to check up on yourself. Okay, am I going about this the right way? In other words, point out a question. This is what I'm trying to do. Am I overlooking something? Absolutely fine. Okay, absolutely a viable use for the Ouija. Okay, it's kind of like phoning up a friend and going, hey, I got this puzzle I'm working on. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. Is it the right move? Is it a move that I can make? Am I missing something? Your friends will do this for you. So will the people on the Ouija board. But I will warn you, if you do not say hello first, they're more likely to tell you what to do with yourself and then set about trying to make it happen. The nice part about it is, they're easy to come by. I'm actually working on it. I just dug this out the other day. And I know you can't see it. But I'm thinking what I'm going to do As a matter of fact, I'm pretty certain what I'm going to do is take a felt marker and mark and draw out the outline. Okay, in that way, I find the round board. I'll obviously have it on a square board, but the diagram will be round. Okay, Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. This is our other resident moderator, and again, you'll notice that it says that his name goes Nathan from the Quantum Show. Okay, with that in mind, drop in on Nathan's show. Absolutely a gem to watch. Okay. And yeah, Nathan, by all means, if you want to be kind enough to pop up a link and we'll call it like some people do, call it a shameless plug. Because frankly, I don't have the link. Okay, as a matter of fact, I don't have any of the links. But with a Ouija board, okay, you do not use it to eavesdrop on people, to spy on them. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Not a problem there, Nathan. I know people that go, I'm going to use it to check on the stock market and find out what this company's up to. Not a good idea. Okay, karmic law applies on the Ouija board. Okay, and that being, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If you do not desire people to eavesdrop on you and reach in and try and strive to steal your secrets and your ideas, then do not do so with a Ouija board, because these guys will take advantage of it. Okay. Well, yeah, keep that up. I'm going to break the ankle. So, I was just trying to pop my ankle back where it belongs. Now, the thing with the Ouija board, this cannot be overstressed. It is not a toy. Okay? Not at all. And anybody that is looking at it going, oh, let's play with a Ouija board because that'll be fun. Yeah, that'll be fun. See, here's the problem with playing with a Ouija board. Okay? It's kind of like walking in near a bee's nest with a baseball bat and banging the heck out of the bee's nest, because that'll be fun. It looks like a piñata. You'll also get very, very badly stung. Okay. I know people that used to run into the farmyard, into the cow pasture, and they'd run up behind the cow, and then they turn around, smack the backside, because that was fun, until they made the mistake of smacking the backside of a bull. The reality of it is this, okay? With a Ouija board, no, you do not have to fear them, but you do have to respect the power if you don't desire your life to get turned upside down. This is just the reality behind it. Okay? And honestly, I would absolutely never play with a Ouija board at all. If you're buying one from anywhere, make certain you clear it first. Absolutely clear it before the first time you even use it. Okay? This is a critical concern. And again, please, in this case, do take my word for it. Okay? Don't do your own research as in, oh, I'm going to play with this and see what happens. I made that mistake. This is not a brilliant idea. Okay? So whatever you do, make certain you realize a Ouija board is not a toy. You must say hello before you even ask the first question and wait for them to say hello. Then ask your questions and be absolutely certain to say goodbye. But do not take your hand off the planchard until that spirit says goodbye. Then take your hands off the planchard, put the board back, and lock it away where you're keeping it in a safe place. Okay, yes, I have definitely been talking in terms of this is a dangerous, spiritually speaking, tool. Okay, it is not a toy. And rest assured, sure, you can shock your friends. Absolutely. But I will tell you, a 110 is safer. Okay, or better yet, static electricity, which does almost no damage to anybody. But with that in mind, I'm just looking at this, and we are down under 5, which is great. Hopefully, this explains a little more about the OUIJA. They are a great tool, but respect the power. This said, tomorrow we are going to be taking a look. We are going to be taking a look at reorienting your current life path. And we're going to walk you through changing the path you're on, given that you're not content with it. With this in mind, I want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us today. Really appreciate it. And I will see you again next time. Okay, tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific. Okay, until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.